Before I get started with this video, I would like to point out that this is a plane I found in the beta branch. Anything you see will be subject to change before the actual 2.0 version of the game comes out. What you will see here will likely be outdated and I will need to make a new updated video for this plane. The XPF, or the Experimental Fighter for long, is a prototype aircraft designed by Icarus Armories. It appears to be the predecessor to the PW Mark I from the shape and weapons alone. It also seems to take inspiration from the Nosferatu from Ace Combat 6, as well as implementing a coffin-style cockpit that is well known in the series. This plane is well known for being flown by Frost in Mission 16, being the extra enemies in Kings on Mercenary, and as the last enemies you fight as part of the boss in the last Conquest Mode mission. Speaking of Conquest Mode, this plane is only exclusive for you to fly in that mode. Because this plane is only playable in the beta as is, you will notice that it plays nothing like how Frost used it. The most notable example being that it lacks the burst missiles that she normally has. In fact, the XPF you are playing is not actually the XPF. It is a Chimera in disguise, as both planes have the exact same stats and weapon selection between them. The only difference is their appearance and that the weapons you mount onto it don't render properly on the plane. I would also like to point out that this plane lacks a cockpit, and while it may be a coffin style plane, you can tell it's not rendered in due to lack of UI and the lack of large computer monitors like the Spear would have. So how do we play this plane? It's simple. Go watch my video on how to fly the Chimera and you understand how to effectively use it. But since the XPF is exclusive to Conquest right now, I might as well give you some tips that I never covered in the Chimera video. If your mission is a standard score attack or air-to-air mission, I highly recommend you load up with as many MLAA as you want in the RDBM. The RDBM is very useful as you can remotely detonate it for large burst damage, have it stick onto enemy planes or knock out smaller airships. If you end up with a fleet hunt mission, then get an assortment of anti-ship missiles, MLAA and RDBM, as you want to finish those missions as quickly as possible. For anti-air suppression missions, bring out the MLAG, but don't go exclusively ground weapons because you still have to shoot down the Ace Squadron at the end of the level, so bring out an anti-air weapon as well. If you are very good with your standard missiles and guns, then I'm not stopping you with an all-ground layout as long as you know how to lead and get good angles. I do not recommend you use the nukes as you only get 2 of them. While fun to use, they are borderline useless for any Conquest Mode mission and will kill at most 3 or 4 ground targets. Ground targets are too spread apart to be used efficiently, so it's not worth the time. Also, if you drop them too low, they will kill you. Now when it comes to modules, I will highly recommend that you use flares, as they are essential in the later stages of Conquest Mode due to the sheer infinite amounts of enemies that will spawn as your alert rises to level 30. You can use the AoE limiter as it is a viable option for dogfighting in the earlier stages, especially if the alert is 10 or lower, so you can manage and not get tracked by missiles easily. Keep in mind that your AoE rate is the same as the Chimera's because that's what the XPF really is. I will now add the obligatory montage here. Normally I would be talking about skins, except there aren't any, and the only one you will get is the base skin that is normally seen in game. If you want a different skin, then you have to download a skin mod for this plane or make one yourself. That's really everything I know right now about the XPF. Sadly, it does not live up to the hype you would expect because it's a reskinned Chimera. But now that you know how to use it, go ahead and dominate Conquest mode. Download the mod for this plane so you can get the correct weapons, maneuverability and cockpit while also being able to play it in campaign mode, and find out that this guide will be outdated once the XPF actually comes out in the full release update. In fact, you should be expecting a part 2 guide video where I can give out the correct information about this plane. Thank you for watching, and I hope you will come back for the eventual sequel guide video. We'll go back to our regular programming after this.